Welcome to Jeff Desk, the single source that delivers the straight facts, no matter how intense or uncomfortable they become. Right now, the entire globe is witnessing a major historical turning point unfold live. A leader who always talked about projecting power has now backed it up with decisive force. Missiles launched, top command structures eliminated, nuclear ambitions reduced to ruins, and this all happened in a matter of days, not years. This isn't some panel discussion full of opinions. This is clear, direct American determination playing out on the ground. If you've had enough of polished narratives and prefer the complete, straightforward account that truly counts, then you've come to the right spot. Stay focused, because what comes next is going to land with real impact. The situation escalated sharply on February 28, 2026, as American and Israeli armed forces launched a joint massive air campaign. The U.S. called it Operation Epic Fury, while Israel named it Operation Roaring Lion. This stands as one of the largest military actions seen in the Middle East for many years, featuring repeated waves of accurate weapons dropped from fighter aircraft, heavy bombers, unmanned systems, and sea-launched cruise missiles. These came from aircraft carriers positioned in the Persian Gulf, regional airfields, and partner locations. The action kicked off just past midnight in the local time zone, following a short order from President Donald Trump. Operation Epic Fury is approved. No aborts. Good luck. Those 9 words triggered an unmatched level of coordinated air operations, designed to overpower Iranian protective systems before any meaningful reaction could form. The main objectives covered a wide range of Iran's key military and strategic resources. Nuclear-related sites, such as the enrichment plants at Natanz, Fordow, and various hidden underground locations, were struck multiple times to break apart the spinning machines, eliminate stored nuclear material, and make scientific setups useless. Sites for ballistic missiles, including bases and factories, took severe damage, with accounts confirming the loss of firing systems, storage areas, and production lines essential for long-distance weapons. Coastal facilities in the Persian Gulf and around the Strait of Hormuz were bombarded intensely, hitting harbors, repair yards, and ships belonging to the Revolutionary Guard's naval branch to remove risks to global sea routes. Special priority went to locations linked to top officials in the early attacks. Efforts targeted control hubs, main guard bases, and homes connected to senior figures. The broader push went past just equipment, aiming to weaken the government's capacity to organize defenses or keep fighting. Israeli units played a major role, carrying out their own attacks on Tehran and additional cities, quickly asserting control of the skies over Iran. The U.S. Central Command oversaw the overall coordination, drawing on personnel and equipment from different service branches for tasks like mid-air refueling, jamming enemy signals, and neutralizing radar threats. Observers called the effort massive and continuous, with hundreds of positions struck in just the first day and a half. Images from space and government updates revealed thick smoke columns over important locations, as Iran's defensive networks faltered under advanced stealth features and signal interference. The combined approach demonstrated even stronger ties between U.S. and Israeli forces, involving shared information, precise target lists, and instant updates during action. This level of teamwork built on earlier joint work, but hit unprecedented strength, since both countries saw Iran's nuclear progress and support for regional groups as direct dangers to their existence. Iran reacted right away by firing missiles at American positions in Iraq and Syria, areas inside Israel, and partners in the Gulf region, although most were stopped by modern interception systems. The attacks broke up Iranian lines of communication, creating confusion in leadership that made mounting a strong reply much harder. Energy sites and oil-related infrastructure saw some targeted but limited damage, sparking worldwide worries over possible interruptions to oil flow via the Strait of Hormuz. The pace stayed intense through the start of March, as additional strikes focused on sites being repaired or new dangers appearing. One of the biggest results from the early stage was the verified death of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who had served as Iran's supreme leader since 1989 and stood as the key authority in the country's religious-led system. He was killed in the opening round of attacks on February 28, 2026, when guided weapons hit his secure location in Tehran. Reports from Israeli sources noted finding remains in the debris, and American intelligence confirmed the hit's effectiveness. After a period of quiet, Iranian official channels reported his passing on the morning of March 1st, leading to a declared 40-day period of national grief and a week-long public holiday. The loss of Khamenei delivered a severe strike straight to the top of the government structure. Holding final say over armed forces, courts, and religious matters, his absence opened up a sudden gap in power. The Supreme Leader's official compound, a heavily protected area with living quarters and senior staff, suffered major destruction as blasts brought down buildings and claimed lives among relatives and trusted aides who were there. This action fit into a wider plan to hit high-level commanders in the Guard and other key people, whose losses added to the breakdown in organized direction. Multiple reliable sources quickly verified what happened. In his remarks, President Trump referred to the incident, calling Khamenei a terrible figure tied to years of hostility toward the U.S. and backing violent groups. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed the site was destroyed. Iranian authorities, confronted with clear proof, admitted the reality. The event led to disorderly gatherings in Tehran, where people showed sorrow, fury, and in some cases, quiet approval from those opposed to the system. The effects spread across Iran's governing setup. The process for choosing a successor, normally handled by the Assembly of Experts, ran into serious problems while attacks kept coming. Some accounts pointed to temporary setups, naming individuals like Mojtaba Khamenei and possible holding roles, but overall authority appeared scattered. The situation deepened splits inside the country, as firm supporters and more flexible voices struggled to hold things together under pressure. Around the world, it raised the seriousness of the situation, bringing strong criticism from certain countries and careful backing from those who saw it as a step against persistent risks. Losses went further than just Khamenei, with reports of defense officials, Guard leaders, and council members killed in connected attacks. This added to the confusion within the government, making organized pushback difficult and leading to talk of possible breakdown or internal challenges. It showed the campaign's goal went beyond weakening tools to actually changing how power works in Iran. With ongoing operations, the lack of direction from Khamenei made it tough for the leadership to show strength or organize resistance. President Trump has presented Operation Epic Fury as the real-world application of his core belief in achieving peace through clear displays of power. He maintains that these large-scale actions aim not at taking over territory, but at completely removing the serious risks coming from Iran's current leadership. In various comments from the White House and his Truth Social platform, he stated the objective is to eliminate every remaining nuclear processing location, missile storage site, launch facility, and supply of nuclear material, ensuring Iran can no longer hold America, Israel, or other free nations hostage with nuclear threats or missile attacks. He pointed out how years of talks, economic restrictions, and flawed deals let Iran build up its programs without real stops, and now only strong, direct military action can provide real safety. Trump has described the effort as a vital and required step toward true security, achieved by stripping away the ability to attack rather than relying on drawn-out discussions, but instead by proving unmatched strength and commitment. He highlighted the fast damage to Iran's missile stocks and major nuclear sites as evidence that firm action, not compromise, stops real dangers. Throughout this period, President Trump has given no sign whatsoever of feeling sorry or offering any apology directed at Iran. In speeches from the Oval Office, meetings with reporters, and online messages, he has always chosen words that firmly reject any sense of regret. Actions taken boldly and without second thoughts because serious threats demand firm responses, not soft ones. He called the operations overdue accountability for the harm done to Americans through attacks supported by Iran, past hostage situations, and funding of violence over more than 4 decades. When pressed on possible civilian harm or chances of wider fighting, he stood firm, saying the U.S. holds no blame for a situation created by Iran's use of indirect forces, refusal to follow nuclear limits, and warnings about blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth supported this view during Pentagon sessions, stating clearly that America never says sorry for protecting itself and its partners from a dangerous government. Nothing in public remarks, discussions, or any released information points to the slightest bit of sorrow. The consistent line frames the whole effort as justified, essential, and based on clear moral grounds. President Trump has often noted that Operation Epic Fury is expected to run for 4 to 5 weeks, but might continue much longer, potentially indefinitely, depending on what is required, given America's ability to maintain it. In an address from the Oval Office on March 2, 2026, he indicated the effort could conclude in roughly that time frame, once Iran's nuclear and missile efforts are fully taken out. Yet he added that the U.S. possesses the resources and determination to extend it for weeks, months, or even years if the situation calls for it. On Truth Social, he wrote that unlike previous drawn-out conflicts, this one won't drag on forever by default. But if the leadership keeps resisting, the response will match it for as long as needed to secure victory. Pentagon updates reflected this adaptable approach, pointing to plentiful supplies of weapons, rotating naval groups, and backing from partners that allow carrying on without major limits. Trump stressed America's clear edge in accurate targeting, control of the air, and digital operations, which means the campaign can persist until all dangers are gone. Trump has firmly turned down Iranian signals about possible discussions, viewing them as coming too late and rejecting any pause or dialogue right now. After Iranian representatives indicated openness to indirect contacts via Oman or Qatar shortly after the attack started, Trump replied directly on March 1, 2026, saying talks were no longer an option. They had 4 decades to change course, and now the job must be finished. He later added that any serious discussion would only happen once nuclear setups were entirely gone and missile forces destroyed. He dismissed suggestions from the United Nations or European leaders to calm things down, labeling them ineffective and arguing that real diplomacy should have happened before nuclear and missile dangers emerged. Officials made clear that no quiet channels were being pursued, keeping attention strictly on military goals over any political deals. This position matches Trump's earlier criticisms of prolonged bargaining that he says only encouraged opponents. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has pushed back strongly against claims that Operation Epic Fury represents another open-ended struggle, rejecting accusations that the administration is falling into a long Middle East commitment once more. In sessions at the Pentagon and appearances on Fox News starting late February 2026, Hegseth explained that this differs from past endless conflicts with specific aims, fully taking apart Iran's nuclear work, its missile stocks, and its means of spreading fear. And once those are met, the mission ends and forces return home. He highlighted the emphasis on powerful, targeted action instead of rebuilding a country or staying indefinitely, setting it apart from earlier efforts in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Still, beyond the president's early estimate of 4 to 5 weeks, no fixed finish line has been announced, and no precise benchmarks, like confirmed removal of all equipment, handover of weapons, or leadership changes, have been listed as clear stopping points. Hegseth called the schedule adjustable according to how the other side acts, adding that if Iran tries to rebuild or keeps attacking, operations continue until the risk disappears completely, keeping the conclusion open and linked to actual results on the ground. President Trump has made it plain that he won't exclude sending American ground forces into Iran, leaving every possibility available as the campaign moves forward. In comments to reporters on Air Force One on March 3, 2026, when asked about putting soldiers in place, he said, "Nothing is ruled out. If elite units or Marine teams are required to protect locations or complete tasks, it will happen, using whatever means necessary for success." He noted any ground role would stay focused and limited, aimed at critical goals, such as capturing leftover nuclear items or taking out deeply protected sites that air attacks alone might not fully handle. At the same time, Trump has spoken directly to ordinary Iranians, encouraging them to stand against the religious rulers in pursuit of liberty. Through posts on Truth Social and a recorded message, he stated that the current leaders are weakened, short on funds, and missing key people. This moment offers the Iranian people a chance to reclaim their nation, remove the oppressors, and create a better, open society with America in support. He presented the military pressure as opening a path for change from within, hinting that continued action might lead to large demonstrations or breaks in military loyalty, although no organized backing for opposition elements has been verified. Back home, pushback has grown stronger since late February 2026, as parts of Trump's loyal supporter base, along with consistent opponents of military involvement, charge that he has gone against promises to steer clear of fresh conflicts and prolonged overseas commitments. Well-known voices like Tucker Carlson have raised doubts publicly, wondering why the U.S. is now engaged in strikes against Iran after repeated assurances of ending endless wars and avoiding Middle East traps. Across Truth Social and X, large numbers of accounts identifying with the MAGA movement have shared messages like this not being America first, but instead a pull into old-style intervention, or pointing out the shift from no new wars to active involvement in Iran. Several popular commentators and hosts from the independent right have voiced letdown, saying the actions put American personnel and resources at risk for uncertain future benefits, particularly when earlier focus was on home priorities like borders and jobs. Some within the Republican Party who favor less involvement, including members of the House Freedom Caucus, have pushed for more congressional review or cuts to funding, seeing it as straying from the 2024 commitments. At the same time, groups on the left opposed to war and standard progressive critics have increased their objections, describing the campaign as dangerous overreach that risks turning into a larger fight, although that side's resistance draws less attention than the divisions appearing on the right. American military losses have increased since Operation Epic Fury started, as the Pentagon has confirmed several personnel killed during the first weeks. Early details covered deaths from Iranian missile fire aimed at bases in Iraq and Syria, drone hits on ships in the Gulf, and close combat involving special teams recovering aircraft or hitting missile positions. By early March 2026, at least 12 U.S. service members had died in combat, with many more injured, though figures continue to update amid active fighting. President Trump has spoken openly about the cost, noting in remarks on March 4th that some of the nation's finest have fallen, true heroes who sacrificed everything for national security, and he shares the pain of their families. He expects more losses ahead since this is genuine conflict, not something simulated, and the opposition fights fiercely. He has described these sacrifices as essential to block even bigger dangers down the road, promising that those who gave their lives will not have done so without purpose as the effort breaks down Iran's threats. The administration has issued tributes to the fallen, with flags lowered and statements stressing that protecting troops stays central through better equipment and dominant force, while noting that long-term action against a committed opponent will naturally lead to further losses. From the powerful start of Operation Epic Fury that filled the night sky over Iran, through the verified elimination of Supreme Leader Khamenei that struck at the heart of the system, from Trump's firm commitment to peace through demonstrated power with no trace of apology, the open-ended timeline from 4 weeks to as long as required, the clear dismissal of any discussions now, Hegseth's assurance this isn't another endless engagement, the kept option for ground forces, the straightforward encouragement for Iranians to claim their freedom, the growing domestic divide even among core supporters, right up to the serious and openly recognized price in American lives already paid. Every element of this developing situation reveals a country choosing resolve over hesitation, even as the costs rise and the opposition grows vocal. This represents action-oriented leadership. This is the plain truth of events in 2026. This is Jeff Desk. If this breakdown opened your eyes, make sure to subscribe immediately. Many others already have because they want facts without filters. Enable alerts, give this a like, and drop peace through strength in the comments if you back firm decisions. Catch you on the next Straight Up Report. Stay resolute, America.